It's that time of year again, and baby turtles and tortoises are hatching here at Garden State Tortoise like crazy. You just witnessed a baby Eastern Hermann's tortoise and a baby Western Hermann's tortoise literally take their very first breaths. That's right, their lives just begun, but these two are only two examples of what's going on right now. Go. This is just one tray of Hermann's tortoise eggs that has come out of our incubation room, but not everybody's ready to hatch in here. We've got three different subspecies, Eastern, Western, and of course the Dalmatian Hermann's tortoise, but they're all hatching at different intervals because there are different clutches in here. So the objective is you have got to get in here, find out who's ready to come out, move them out so that they don't overly disturb eggs that are not yet ready to hatch. Now, turning them over a little bit here and there, pushing them off to the side, not a big deal. We've never lost any babies that way, but that's also because we don't let it get out of hand. And these babies, as I've always said, turtles and tortoises are ready to go all on their own from the moment they come into this life. Well, they're pushing things around. They're like little bulldozers because they know what to do. They want to find food, they want to find water, they want to start growing as quickly as possible. So it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more ready to go, and there's also some other eggs in here pipping. So what I like to do is grab the babies, make sure they're ready, and they are. And how can I tell? Well, you can see that the yolk sac there has been fully absorbed. This baby has absorbed the remnants of that precious yolk sac, which is what's going to feed him for the first 7 to 10 days of life, maybe even longer. He's got a nice full belly right there. And I'm going to put him in a little bit of water just to get some of that vermiculite off. And I'm sure that's very refreshing feeling because it's very hot inside these incubators. And then, here's the big reveal, he goes in here. These are all baby Hermann's tortoises that have been hatching over the course of the last week, all from clutches that were laid around the same time. And these are beautiful babies, like I said, all ready to start their lives all on their own. Now, if this was the wild, then nobody would be helping them find food or anything, but we're gonna get them set up and I'm gonna show you what we do for them in these first few days of life, just so that they can start getting going before they go off to new homes, because all of these tortoises have been spoken for. They'll be going to their new homes within the next month or so, and we need to make sure that they're feeding consistently and that they are plump and ready to go. And we also want to make sure that they start getting their first few growth lines, because that's very important. That means the tortoises are starting to progress well enough to go off to a new home. So this little baby Western Hermann's tortoise right here is not yet ready to come out of this particular situation. And that's because even though it looks like to you guys that it's fully emerged from its egg, it's not ready because it's still partially folded in half, because as I've said before, baby tortoises are folded in half in the egg. And it also still has most of its yolk sac exposed. So this animal just needs to relax, chill out, and straighten out, and then it will absorb the yolk sac, and then I can pull it out like the rest of these other ones here and put it into this temporary nursery, which is a very humid, controlled situation so the animals don't dehydrate before putting them into a more advanced nursery where they can start feeding. These first few minutes, these first few days and even week of life, the animals are very sensitive. Even though they're ready for life, they're subject to dehydration and of course predation. And even though these animals are in a protected captive management situation, they don't know that. So they know they're vulnerable. So we want to keep them as stress-free as possible. And a lot of babies will congregate in nature. So these animals all belong to colonies. And when they first hatch, and come up out of the ground, out of their nests, they will often congregate together under the same things, the same bushes, the same leaf litter, the same debris, and that's where they will stay, and they will benefit from that microclimate that they're constantly subjecting themselves to. Then once that yolk sac is absorbed and they're nice and filled out and straightened out, they'll start venturing out a little bit more, but of course it's nothing compared to what the adults do. Baby tortoises are able to be folded in half in the egg because the shell is not solid bone yet. It's essentially all cartilage. And that's how the animal fits inside that egg and is able to grow within it. The developing embryo has a lot of requirements, and these animals are fairly robust for when they first come into the world like this. I mean, they've got everything they need. You know, they're not blind, they're not waiting to grow hair or anything. They just need to get bigger and badder and more solid. So that shell will eventually be solid bone. And of course, the outer layer, which are those shell scutes, are keratin, just like our fingernails and hair. Because these tortoises are so pliable as far as their shell goes when they first hatch, it's one of the reasons why it's so important that from day one they are raised properly. They need the proper lighting, whether that's going to be natural sun or full spectrum lighting indoors, and all other parameters, including diet, because if not, the animal is going to end up suffering from metabolic bone disease. And that doesn't only affect the shell, it affects the entire skeleton because, again, the shell is part of the skeleton. All right, so this container's got to go back into the incubator so that these two can finish hatching. Then I'll get them out, and then the rest of the eggs can take their time. There are a couple that are pipping though. And then some of these are going to stay in here. The ones that I just pulled out, they'll stay in there for about a week so they can really take it easy. But we do have a few that are just over a week old, and they are ready to go into a more established, more advanced nursery outside. So let's grab these, and I'm going to show you how we do it. This is how we prefer to start our baby tortoises out when they are ready to go into a more advanced nursery. This is a raised garden bed, and we've been raising our baby radiated tortoises in it that are now several months old, and you can see just how amazing they look and how healthy they look. They are benefiting from all the things that this raised garden bed has to offer, between the plant life, the substrate, the protection measures we take against predators, and of course all those natural elements, the rain, the sun. This thing drains properly. It has everything you need to start baby tortoises off outside. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put together another one of these for those baby Herman's tortoises that are ready to come out here and let them start living as naturally as possible right from the start. And if you wanna know how to put one of these together and how to plant it and everything in between, make sure you watch this video next.